Good morning, everyone. My name is Jordan Monahan, and I'm your GitLab Customer Success Manager. Today, we are talking about security and compliance, and I'm going to show you just how easy it is to incorporate security into your software development and automate and enforce these security processes. GitLab is a single platform that allows you to secure your entire development lifecycle end to end, all in one place. And this means that we have moved security testing as close as possible to the developer. You may hear this called shifting left. But essentially, the point is to catch security mistakes and vulnerabilities as early as possible in your development process so that they're easier and less costly to fix. This, of course, is going to save time, money, reputation, and most importantly, prevents dangerous security breaches. Today, we are going to cover things like dependency and container scanning, using GitLab security processes to automate and enforce security scans like secret detection. We're going to talk about vulnerability management and reporting with our security dashboard and our vulnerability reports. And we'll talk a little bit about things like audit events and some extra scanner configurations as well. So let's dive in and get started with the demo. So the first thing that I'm going to do with this demo, of course, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And here we have our Tanuki Racing security demo project. And so this is what we are going to use for this whole demo. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come here to build and go to pipeline editor. And what I have here is basically just our current main branch pipeline. I have two different stages. I have a build and a test stage just to see an easy visualization. But if you look at it, this pipeline doesn't really do a lot in terms of security scanning. It really only has like one simple unit test defined at the moment. And what we want to do is we want to add security scanners to our pipeline. But we also know that if we are just going to add them to the code base, any developer on this project could go ahead and just comment them out in order to get their pipelines to pass. And so we want to prevent that. We don't want that to happen. So to prevent that, what we're going to do is we're going to start by adding a pipeline execution policy and project. So to do this, we're going to go back here to build again, but we're going to go to pipelines. And now we're on pipelines. So we have no current pipelines. Let's click new pipeline. So we're going to leave our branch selection on main. We're just going to go and click run pipeline. All right. And so that is running. And while that's happening, we're just going to click up here on our breadcrumbs. We're going to go to the top of the page. We're going to go back into our group name. This is my group name. So once I'm here, I'm going to create a new project. I'm actually going to create a blank project for this. And I am going to call my blank project my Tanuki Racing Scanner project. I'm leaving all my other settings as is, and then I'm just going to create my project. All right, and now I have my project. And so once I'm here in this project, I can go back into my left-hand menu and go back to my pipeline editor. And I can configure a pipeline from here. And so, okay, let's just get out of that. So once I'm here in my configure pipeline, I just have a bunch of like placeholder pipeline code. And I'm going to delete all of this because I don't want it because it's just placeholder code. And I'm going to replace it with something else. So let's just delete all of this and I'm going to replace it with new code. And so this, basically this just gives me a bunch of security templates that I'm bringing into my project. And you can see those here: container scanning, code quality, dependency, SaaS, secret detection, infrastructure as code scanning as well. And so this just adds a whole lot of more beefed up security scanning compared to the pipeline that I had before. Um, so now I have all of this. I have my stages as well. I have my different templates. If you want to look at what these different templates are, you can come here into full configuration. And this shows you the pipeline YAML, and it gives you all of that with those different templates brought in. And this is just the full configuration if you want to look at all of those templates once they've been brought back in. All right, so I'll just come back here and click edit just to go back to the normal editor. So I have this. I'm going to come down here to the bottom. I'm going to leave my commit message, what it is, and I'm going to click commit changes. And syntax is correct. And my pipeline is running. And I'm going to come back up to my group and give my pipelines a chance to run. We've taken a little bit of a break. And we're going to go ahead and we're back in our group, and I'm sharing my screen again. And so we're going to go back into our security project, our Tanuki security demo project. All right. And so remember, what we wanted to do was define the pipeline with all of our security scans in it. And now we want to just make sure that that pipeline runs every single time that our Tanuki racing security demo pipeline does. So how we're going to do that is we're going to set up a policy. We're going to come here to our left-hand menu. We're going to go to secure. We're going to go to policies. And we don't have any policies here. Yes, we're going to click new policy. And this is going to be a pipeline execution policy, which is one of our newer security policy types. All right, and we're going to set up other policies in the next couple sections of this demo as well. So here, I'm going to give it a name. I'm just going to call it pipeline execution policy to keep things simple in my head, because that's what it is. And I'm going to go ahead and come down here to the actions section. I'm going to leave inject selected, and then where it's select project, I'm going to choose my scanner project, my Tanuki racing scanner project. And then where it says and then I just need to put .gitlab ci.yaml right there, just to make sure that it's pulling from the right place. And then once I'm done with that, I just need to update via merge request. And so now I'm here, I'm ready to merge. All I have to do is click merge. So again, all I'm going to do is come back up to my breadcrumbs, and I'm going to go to my top level group and just go back into my demo project. And so the reason that I'm using these multi-projects and have this kind of multi-project approach is just so that policies can be easily enforced on multiple projects. And it just allows you to maintain better access controls than using different approaches. And so Just kind of wanted to add that caveat. Anyway, lastly, what we're going to do is just go ahead and create a new branch to track any of our future changes. And so to do that, from this point in my project, I'm going to come over here to code. I'm going to go to branches, and then I'm going to go to new branch. Now I'm going to name this branch Secure Pipeline. I'm going to base it off of main and click create branch. There we go. Now, what if, say, we didn't know where to find our pipelines that we're running? Or what if we wanted to learn more about like the includes keyword in the pipeline? We now have the option of using the GitLab Duo chatbot to do that. And you could do a bunch of other stuff as well. So to use GitLab Duo chat, you come up here to the right-hand corner, you click GitLab Duo chat. And this will open up a chat prompt. I'll just go ahead and clear everything from what I was doing before. And so you now have the chatbot, which also has slash commands that you can use that I just showed you. And so you can type in some questions. So let's go ahead and type in something simple like, what security features does GitLab have? So we asked GitLab Duo that question. And we get an error. So let's try one from how do I create a template? All right. Well, we will come back to attempting to use GitLab Duo chat later. We're having some bugs in that at the moment. But for workshops like this or attempting to do new security things on your own, you can always use a chatbot to ask questions that come up. And you can always ask it coding questions, even if you get stuck. And so next, what we want to do is test that our security policy is working that we just set up. And we want to go ahead and scan our repository. So we are going to open a merge request. And to do that, I'm going to go back here to code. I'm going to go to merge requests. I don't have any open right now, so let's go ahead and click new merge request. And so for source branch, I am going to select the branch that I just created, which was secure pipeline. All right. So I have my source branch selected, and then I'm going to leave my target branch as main, and then I'm just going to click compare branches and continue. All right. And so now on this page, I have my new merge request. I'm going to uncheck mark as draft because drafts can't be merged. I'm going to come down here and scroll down to the merge options. I'm going to uncheck delete source branch when merge request is accepted. And then you can go ahead and just leave everything else the way that it is and click create merge request. All right. So now that I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and click code in the top right. I'm going to open the web IDE. All right. I am going to navigate to this file, and I'm just going to come down here. I'm going to change a line. I'm going to change my title line to something different, just to secure Tanuki Racing Home, instead of Tanuki Racing Home, and that is it. So once I do that, I'm going to come here to my little source control button. I'm going to add a short commit message to just change title. And then I'm going to go to commit to, I'm going to do my little drop down error. And all right. All right. And so now I have my pipeline that has kicked off. All right. And so if I click here, I can see all the jobs that I added through the main pipeline, and that scan execution or that pipeline execution policy. And you can kind of compare that to earlier where it was just those very simple jobs in those two stages. And so while this runs, we're going to move forward with some of these things and take a quick break, but we'll check back in a bit to see the results of our scanners. All right, now we've taken a break and we've come back. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen again. Um, Here we go. And so our pipeline has finished up. You might notice a couple of little things that are different from before a break. Our branch is different. I actually forgot to remove the forking relationship of this project from the project I had forked it from. So screwing some things up. So I removed the forking relationship and reran this on a new branch. So not a big deal, but there's a couple little name changes. But our pipeline has finished. All of our jobs have passed. So let's go back into our merge request and just see what that looks like right now after all of our security scans have completed. So we're back. This is our merge request that we ran before our break, just with a different name, sorry. And right below this little approval area where there would be if we had some reviewers or approvers, we have some scanning templates that we included that gave us some security reports. I could click here and download the full report. I'm not going to. But I've got some results from my license compliance. Code quality hasn't changed. I have some findings from my security scanning, which is very interesting. And this is all just unique to this branch for us to view. And these reports are generated with every commit. So we always know if we've introduced a new bug before it's deployed out and disaster starts to strike. So that's why it's just important to do it this way and catch this stuff early. So let's just take some time to look at maybe one of these findings from our security scanning section and just see what it looks like. Let's just look at this critical finding from our SAST scanner. So this is what it looks like. This S3 bucket allows public policy. It gives you a short little description, a status, a severity, where it was found, the tool that found it, the scanner that found it, location. Let's just say, we take a look at this and just for whatever reason, right now, not in the real world, just for this demo, we decide that it's not relevant, it's not applicable, this is a false positive, whatever it is. We can dismiss this vulnerability at this point. If we want to deal with it right now, we can create an issue and resolve it, but we can just go ahead and click dismiss vulnerability. And then basically we'll get an audit log. So you have to put some information in. Why am I dismissing it? Let's call it a false positive. Let's add it false positive dismissing. And so this will just show up as like an audit for you so that you can look back and see why something was dismissed and who dismissed it. Just go ahead and confirm dismissal. Boom. And then if you just want to deal with it later, you can click cancel as well. And so next, let's just say we want to come down here and we just want to go ahead and merge our code. We're going to ignore all these vulnerabilities. I just want to kind of move through and keep and just show the next steps. And so we it's not marked as draft, so we are good to go ahead and merge. We don't have any approvals in this case that are required. And we just click merge to once again kick off our pipeline. Oh. And you can see here back on our pipelines page, we have another pipeline that's running. So at this point, we will again pause quickly until this pipeline completes. Okay, so we've now completed our pipeline. It's run. I'm going to share my screen again. There we go. And so we are now seeing that our pipeline passed, and we merged our extra secure branch into our main branch. And now that we have now that we've merged into the main branch, the reports under our security and compliance area have been generated. And so those reports are only going to be generated if you run a pipeline against your main branch. So to see these, you just come over here to secure. And let's start with the security dashboard. And this is going to bring up a dashboard of all the security vulnerabilities and their counts over time. So you can track your work as you start to secure your project. In this count, like these dashboards take a lot of time to collect data. This is a new project for this demo. So we only have data from basically from yesterday to today. And so there's not a lot of information here. And so if you want there, you can always poke around on GitLab.com and see some more fleshed out security dashboards if you want to see something that's kind of been built out over time. What else? Oh, so we've already seen how to see the vulnerabilities in like in the merge request and the pipeline view, but now let's go ahead and look at our vulnerability report to view that full report here as well. And so these are really helpful for people that are trying to just kind of get a bird's eye view of what's going on in your project, and for, maybe managers or executives. Here we go. And so here we have our vulnerability report that just gives us that information. And it gives us kind of all of our counts, and it gives it to us broken out by severity and the different types of vulnerabilities as well. So if we want to, we can add some additional filters. Right now it's filtering by status, by it needs triage and then still detected. So say that we want to just see tools that are vulnerabilities that were just detected by the by our Kix scanner. So we can just filter by tools, and let's look at Kix. We can just do that. See if it'll, nope, it didn't add it. Whoop, nope. There we go. And so we can filter through that. And so these are the vulnerabilities that were detected by Kix. And then we can just click into any of these SaaS vulnerabilities that are now just shown. Whoop. Let's back out of that. I didn't click the wrong part. I want to click on that. All right. And so this is just, again, a summary of that finding. And inside of this vulnerability, we can go up here to the top and click explain or resolve with AI. So let's go ahead and click that and go to explain with AI. And then Duo gives us an explanation of this vulnerability. It tells us, it gives us an explanation of it. It gives it an explanation of how it can be exploited. And then it gives us a quick remediation example as well. And so this is really helpful for maybe newer developers or developers that aren't very familiar with things on the security side, or they just come up against a new finding, a new vulnerability that they're not very familiar with. This is just a really good way to educate your developers about security and just keep people security minded, even if they aren't cyber experts. And just having this information at your fingertips is incredibly helpful. Right. So next, let's just back out of here. And let's go ahead and navigate back to our vulnerability report. And I'm going to go ahead and change my tool. You see that my tool filter has been removed. So what I'm going to do is I want to change my tool instead to secret detection. I just want to see if there were any leaked secrets. And so let's go through. And what's interesting is you see here that secret detection is not listed, which is great. This means that we haven't leaked any secret tokens so far, which of course we want to keep it that way. That happens a lot. And so that's really great. But to prevent that from happening, we can set up some policies and some gates to help us prevent that. So let's set up a policy to run on all future merge requests. So for our use case, and maybe for a lot of our government customers, leaked tokens are really easy mistakes that can lead to huge problems. And so what we want to do is just create a really quick policy to stop that from happening. So again, we're just going to create another security policy. And to do that, we're going to come back over here to our left-hand navigation menu, and we're going to go down. We're still in secure, and we're just going to go to policies. And we're going to click, you see we have our pipeline execution policy here we created earlier. We're going to click on new policy. And this one, we're actually going to do merge request approval policy. All right. And so this one, let's give it a name. Let's just say stop leaked secrets. Stopping leaked secrets. I'm just being very literal in my explanations for these things. So just giving it a name. And so then under the rules section, to make this happen, I want to choose security scan under this drop down. And then for this, I want to choose secret detection only. So deselect all of those. So when the secret detection scan runs against the default branch. So that's my one statement here is when my secret detection scan runs against the default branch. And then I want to leave it as no exception. And I want to scroll down to the actions, and then I want to require an approval. In this case, I'm going to require an approval from myself. Normally, it would be from a security professional. This is a demo, and I don't want to involve any sort of external person and like get them unnecessarily pinged. I'm just going to choose Jordan in this particular demo. And then I come down here. So there are a couple situations where you might want to override project approval settings. And we have some links here that explain maybe situations where you may want to do that. Use those with caution. I am going to uncheck prevent pushing and force pushing. I'm only doing this because I will be blocked later in this demo because I'm going to need to do it. Otherwise, again, just use caution and follow your own organization's policies. But I'm doing that for my own situation right now. And then finally, just click configure with a merge request. And now on this page, and then on this page, I'm just going to click merge. Right. And so I now have a new policy project that is applied to my application. Second, please. All right, we are back. So I'm going to reshare my screen. And so now we have this, again, we have this new policy project. It's been applied to our workshop application that we have our Tanuki Racing security demo security policy project. And so if you were to create another merge request with a leak token that's somewhere in that code base, merging would be prevented until it was removed or until somebody approved it for whatever reason. And so that's what we have now that we have merged. So I'm just going to come up here to the top. I'm going to use my breadcrumbs just to go back into my top level group and go back into my security demo project. So I'm now back into my security demo project. And our new secret detection policy is going to be enforced with all of our commits. But of course, we are human, which means that mistakes will happen. Approval mistakes are going to happen. So what we can do is we can set an additional scan execution policy that will check for secrets that were mistakenly approved. And this is going to check on a daily basis for those mistakes. And so how we're going to do this is it's going to be the same as our other policies. We're going to come back here to secure and policies. And we're going to check new policy. In this one, we're going to use our third type of policy, which is scan execution. And so this one, I'm just going to go daily leaked secret checker. Again, I am being very literal. Checks for mistake in leak secrets. And so in this particular case, what we want to do under the actions is we want to run a secret detection. We want to do automatically, we want to do that. And then for conditions, we want to change triggers to schedules. So we're not going to base this on a trigger. We're going to base this on a schedule. We're going to change specific protected branches. We're going to change that to the default branch with no exceptions. We're going to run it daily around, I'm going to say that we'll do midnight. You could do whatever time you want. Maybe we do it at 11 p.m. right before midnight. And then you choose your time zone. I am on the West Coast, so we're going to choose the Pacific time zone for this. And then we just click configure with a merge request. All right. And there we go. We are ready to merge, and we will once again click merge. There we go. And now this scan will be run every night at 11 p.m. Pacific time, and it will alert us if a secret was accidentally approved into our default branch for whatever reason. And so now that we have that, we're just going to come back in here and we're going to go to our top level group and just go back into our project. So now we want to see our scan results working in action for secrets detection. And so from the main page of our project, let's go ahead and go into the web IDE. You just get to that here from the edit. And so I am going to go just into this file. That's all I'm going to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a fake AWS token at the end of line 6, which is right here. And so I'm going to use this. I'm just copying and pasting it from my other screen. And there we go. And so I've added, oops, probably don't need both of those periods. There we go. So I've just added this fake AWS key. That's all I've done. And so again, to go ahead and commit this, I come here to my source control button on the left-hand side. I'm going to add a commit message, AWS key, which of course you wouldn't normally intentionally do this, but we're doing it for the sake of this. We're going to click the down arrow because I don't want to push to main. I'm going to come here. Whoop, and then just hit enter, just create whatever branch that means. And there we go. Create a new merge request. There we go. So we've now created a new merge request with my little commit message at the top. And I'm going to come down here. I'm going to uncheck delete source branch when merge request is accepted. And then I'm just going to click create merge request. Well, and so now we see immediately that our merge is blocked and that we have some rules from stop leaked secrets, which is great. Even though, so our pipeline is still running, but let's go ahead and do this. So we see action required, and basically that this can't be, that this can't go. Since I am on here and I am the participant and I am the approver, it's not popping up as me blocking myself. But essentially, we are being blocked because we have put a leaked secret in and our security policy is stopping us from doing that, which is great. But we can go ahead and wait for our pipeline to finish running, and we will go ahead and quickly pause while that finishes running. Okay, so we're now back. Our pipeline has completely finished running, and I'm going to go ahead and show you our merge request. And so now our pipeline is done running, and we have a ton of errors. Our merge request is blocked. We've been stopped by our stop leak secrets security policy. And even the security bot has stepped in to let us know, like, hey, this isn't going to work. And had we not went ahead and added a leaked secret into our code, we would have been able to merge this, but unfortunately we were not able to. And so that is how you prevent the leaked secrets. So let's move on to things like software bills and materials and license compliance and things like that. So with the uptick of a lot of big security breaches, and these are things that you probably see in the headlines a lot, governments have started to require developers and even developers and companies who work with the government to provide a detailed report on the list of dependencies in their applications that you've probably heard called a software bill of materials, an SBOM or a BOM. And so this next section of the demo is going to show you how GitLab creates these reports for you. So to find this, just go ahead and come here to secure, and then we'll go to dependency list. And these this is going to allow you to view all of the dependencies that are directly and indirectly included in your application. And then you see all the vulnerabilities as well. And you can see, I mean, there's many pages, and just by clicking through this, it just gives you an idea of just how many dependencies there are and how important it is for that you do dependency scanning, because it's just impossible to know the details of every single dependency that your software is using. And so say you just want to export a list of these findings. What I'll do, I'll show you a really quick way to do that. You just come here to build, go to pipelines. So let's find the pipeline that was most recently ran against our main branch, which looks like it was this one. We'll come over here to our download button. And we want to download a specific artifact, and it's called container scanning Cyclone DX. And so this is the one we're going to download. There you go. And so then that downloads our SBOM in the Cyclone DX format. And then next, we can also see the licenses that are detected in our project. And so I know you probably saw in the merge request some license things. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the licenses detected in our project. Okay, so we took a little bit of a break and we're going to come back. And so now we're going to take a look at license compliance in general. I'm going to share my screen again real quick. And for those who are following along at home, we are back in our Tanuki Racing Security demo project. Let's say we want to take a look at the licenses that are detected in our project, and we can do that by coming over here again to secure and going to dependency list. And to just quickly filter and see just the included licenses, all you have to do is come here to the top where it says severity, and inside you click packager. And then you can see from there. But let's say that we decided we want to prevent the use of like a certain license, a specific license, say the LGPL 3.0 license. To do that, we're going to come back here to policies and we're going to create another new policy. And we're going to click new policy. And this one's going to be a merge request approval. All right. And so this is going to be license, let's call it LGPL license prevention. Prevent LGPL. So at the top, you see where it says rule mode, we're going to change it to YAML mode. And so this is just kind of a quick way. And basically I'm going to replace this with new config. I'm just going to copy and paste in. Clean this a little up just to get it there. And we're going to scroll down here and we're going to click configure with a merge request. It's almost ready. Here I need to go. And we click merge. And it's merging into our security policy project. All right, and now we can just go back to our group and then we can go back into our demo project. So now when we run a new pipeline for a merge request, a new approval rule based on this license compliance policy is going to be added to prevent any software using the LGPL 3.0 license from being merged. And the security bot is going to notify me that I have a policy violation. And we will see this in action in just a second. All right, everyone, we are now in the final part of this demo. I'm once again going to share my screen. And we're back in our Tanuki Racing Security Demo project. And kind of the theme of this last bit is just kind of think, in the case of security risky events, tools like this are going to be extremely handy at quickly troubleshooting what could be the issue with your application. And we're really going to be looking at like on-demand scans, audit events, extra configurations, just some last few security capabilities that GitLab offers beyond what's possible with like our basic CI/CD configuration. And so we're just going to dive into that right now. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to secure. We're going to look at on-demand scans. We don't have any set right now, so we're going to click new scan. And then in scan configuration, we're going to add a name and a description, but we're going to leave everything else to its defaults. And I'm just going to say new on-demand scan, new scan. Obviously add things that are far more descriptive. This is a DAST. We're going to leave everything else as it is in that section. And then in the DAS configuration section, I'm going to click on select scanner profile. Then I'm going to click new scanner profile. I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to leave everything else and then I'm going to click save profile. That works. And then we want to click select site profile, followed again by new site profile. And then this is going to get another name, new site, whatever. And under target URL, I'm just going to, this is super basic, enter, I'm going to copy and paste it just to make it easy. So I'm not typing a bunch of stuff, just that. Example.com/home. And so it's out of scope of this demo to fully deploy out this application. And so the DAS scanner is not going to run. But just think about how you could be customizing these settings for your own application. So I'm just going to scroll down, hit save profile, and then I'm going to scroll down and click save scan, not save and run, save scan. So that is, I've just set up a new on-demand DAS scan. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at some audit events. And so I'm going to come back over here to secure and I'm going to click on audit events. And this will give the report on all actions taken on the project in the past month. And so if you click on this and for whatever reason in your project, you don't have any events that are being shown, you might need to go to the top here and edit your time frame. Mine's showing 24 days. I've only had had this project in existence for about 24 hours. So my audit events history is very small. But that is where it is. And so you can see some of the actions that I've taken today, and like where they occurred in my project hierarchy, which is really cool. I was looking for, yeah, you can see where my scans pick things up. So that's audit events. And then next, we're going to look at some additional scanner configurations. So we're going to stay in the secure tab. We're going to come to security configuration. And here we're going to see all the scans that we have enabled for this project. So for this particular exercise, you can see all of this. We are going to, just for this exercise, we're going to click on configure SAST. All right, so you can see here some of the settings that we can change about the scan to better suit the needs of our project and our organization. Most of these settings can also be changed by adding variables to your pipeline. But a lot of times, depending on your familiarity and your comfortability, it's a lot easier to just change it from this view. And then I want to just back out of this, but stay within security configuration. I want to switch to this vulnerability management tab. And here you can see we have security training providers, and you can enable these different security training providers. And so once these are enabled, I'm just going to enable all three of them. Why not? And so now that these are enabled, our vulnerability will link out to certain security trainings if they are related to an existing course. I do have to note here as a disclaimer that some of the training courses do require a subscription, but just know that this stuff is available to you. Another compliance feature that you should probably be taking advantage of is the use of the code owners file. Now to do this, I need to back out of this. I need to go back to the main page of our project. So let me back up here and go back to the main page of our project. And I'm going to go to the the web IDE. All right, and so now I'm in the web IDE and I'm just going to create a new file that I call code owners. And then I'm just going to add a little snippet of code here. And then I'm going to replace where it says GitLab username. I'm just going to make it my GitLab username, which is J Monahan. And now I want to commit this code. I want to commit it back to the main branch. So I'm going to, of course, come here, click my source control button, code owners, and then push to me. All right, we're going to then go to our project. All right, so here we have our code owners. So now we want to see license compliance and code owners working together, or excuse me, like working in action. And so now that we're back to the main page of our project, I'm going to go again and click on the web IDE. And then I'm looking for my Tanuki Racing gem spec file, which is right here. And on line 22, which is right here, I can see there's a bunch of runtime dependencies starting to be listed. And so let's say your project manager has shown some interest in speeding up some of your jobs using Sidekiq. So you want to go ahead and check it out. And so what we're going to do, right before the current line 22, we're going to add this line of code. Boop. There we go. And so we're going to add the new runtime dependency. And then we also want to manually replace the gemlock file content to include all the changes that a bundle install with this the Sidekiq gem would require. Here we go. So I'm just copying some code. I'm just gonna delete all of this and replace. There we go. So I'm just replacing that. That's all I'm doing. All right. So now we just want to commit these two changes. So again, we're coming here to our source control button. And in this case, we're not going to commit this to main. We're going to click our down arrow and we're going to create a new branch and commit. We're going to click enter so we can get our auto-generated branch name. I don't particularly have a branch naming strategy in this case. And so we're going to click create MR with our little pop-up. All right, so I'm going to leave my title. I'm going to leave all of that as is. And then I'm going to scroll to the bottom. I'm going to uncheck my delete source branch. And then I'm leaving approvals as optional. And then I'm going to just create a merge request. And so now I'm actually being blocked by two different policies. I'm being blocked by our stop leak secrets again. I have not removed that AWS key, so that's blocking us. But then it's also blocking my LGPL 3.0 license that I've used in this case. And so I am now being blocked by both of my policies. And so my pipeline is still running. But once that is done, we'll be able to see that the code owners protection rule and then the license compliance policy have been enacted, which restricts us from committing this code. And if we hadn't used the block license or modified a file that was protected by code owners, we would be able to merge this code. And we'll pause here quickly until that pipeline finishes running. We are back and our pipeline has finished running. And let me share my screen again. So we're back in our merge request, and you see we have some warnings here. We have some merge blocks. And so our pipeline passed with some warnings. First, because of that license, we have a warning here because we have a policy violation used by Sidekick. It's out of compliance with our project's policies, and we should remove it. And so it's called out right there. We again have our security scanning. And then our merge is also being blocked here. And then the security bot is telling us here that we have some issues and we have some out of policy licenses. We come up here, we have 2 rules that can't be approved. Again, I haven't removed the AWS key, which is still being blocked, in addition to the license. And I had mentioned code owners before. I guess I didn't go too into detail about what code owners is, but essentially you can use code owners in GitLab to essentially spell out who may have expertise for certain parts of your code base. You can define the owners of files and directories in your repo. And you would do this to like require owners to approve changes. So you can combine protected branches with code owners to require those experts to approve the merge request before they merge into a protected branch. And you can also identify owners. And so code owner names are displayed on the files and the directories they own. And so you saw that I added that code owners file. And you can essentially combine code owners with these merge request approval rules just to build out a really flexible approval workflow. It helps to ensure quality and define the users who have maybe like the expertise in that domain for the specific paths in your repo. And you can also use approval rules to define areas of expertise that don't correspond to specific file paths in your repo. And this just helps guide merge request creators to the right set of reviewers, like a front-end developer or a security team. So I just kind of wanted to go back on that. But with that, and with our final failed, our blocked merge requests and our policies, this closes out the final section of the security demo. I hope that you were able to see some great use cases for your organization where you want to put these security policies in place and use these scans to detect vulnerabilities early and ensure that you're enforcing your organization's security policies with every commit and all of the code that your developer is writing. Thank you so much.